Last week's Torah portion explained to the Jewish people what they should do if a tzaraas spot would appear on a person's body, or what to do if a tzaraas spot or lesion would appear on a person's clothing. In this week's Torah portion, God says, when you come to the land of Canaan and I place a tzaraas spot on the walls of a home, here's what you should do. Now, if sounds like a possibility. When sounds like an inevitability. Why the difference? The commentators explain that if a person would get tzaraas on their body or on their clothing, that was a punishment. If a person would get tzaraas on the walls of their home, that was also a punishment. Indeed, the walls of that home would have to be destroyed. But in that instance, it was also a blessing in disguise. Why? Because the Jewish owner of that home would find treasure in the walls, treasure that had been buried by the prior Canaanite owner, the owner of the land before the Jews' conquest in the time of Joshua. Now, why would God give somebody a reward of buried treasure via the punishment of tzaraas? Maybe to teach us the all-important lesson that every time God punishes, it's actually a reward. It's a buried treasure. Why? It's a love tap. If he didn't love us, he wouldn't take the time to visit us with a problem. It's also an opportunity for us to stop and reflect, take stock, think about our relationship with God and how we can improve it. And also, it's a matter through which we can receive atonement. None of us are blameless. None of us are without any transgressions. So we all need some atonement. A few weeks ago, I had a speaking engagement in northern New Jersey that ended at about 5 o'clock. I jumped in my car to head to the city for a charity dinner that was scheduled to start at 6. And I knew that this dinner was beginning with an elaborate smorgasbord, which I was looking forward to because I was very hungry. I hadn't eaten much that day. The ride should have taken about an hour, but my misfortune, it was raining, there was an accident. Traffic snarled to a halt, and 5 turned into 5:30, 6:30, and I'm watching the smorgasbord disappear on the clock on my dashboard. Finally, I arrive at 7 o'clock after driving for 2 hours. I'm starved. There are about 15 minutes left in the smorgasbord. I find parking a few blocks away. I leave my car. I run back to the venue. Now I'm stuck in a slow-moving security line. Finally, with about 10 minutes left in the smorg, they hand me the little bin for me to put my possessions in, and I empty my pockets. I throw in my wallet, my phone, my car key. And I say to myself, car key? Oh no, just shoot me. That means I forgot to give my key to the garage attendant, which means my car is stuck there, which means I gotta go walk back in the rain to the lot, which means I'm gonna miss the shmorg. So I am steaming, hopping mad. I have to say, excuse me, to go back out through the security line. I'm pounding the pavement, walking back to the lot, when suddenly I get a grip of myself. And I say, are you kidding? What is your deal, dude? You're getting upset? Think about your clients. They've lost loved ones. They've lost limbs, fractures, surgeries. You're complaining because you're missing a buffet? What are you, a buffoon? Chavivin Yisurin. Accept the love tap with love. Let it be a kapara. Let it be an atonement. And as soon as I said that, I had a totally different outlook. I smiled and I skipped and whistled my way to the lot. When all of a sudden I realized, wait a minute, maybe I'm making a big mistake. Maybe I was supposed to get a bigger atonement through being upset and frustrated for a longer period of time. I don't know about this. So I ran this scenario by a rabbi with whom I study, and he said, listen to this story. Several hundred years ago in the holy city of Tzfat, a person went to seek advice from the Arizal, the great sage and Kabbalist. And he said to him, Rebbe, I don't know what to do. My wife is driving me crazy, tormenting me, torturing me, hectoring, complaining. What do I do? He said, listen carefully. You're supposed to get an atonement. That's from God. Accept it with love, and that will count as your atonement. He said, thank you so much. He went home. As soon as he walked in the door, his wife starts yelling at him. He says, thank you, darling. Later that night, she's complaining. No problem, darling. The next morning, she's torturing him. Thank you, darling. After 2 weeks' worth of thank you, darlings, she stops for the first time in their marriage. Cold turkey. Stops bothering him, stops complaining, stops torturing him. He goes back to the Arizal. The Arizal says, how can I help you? He says, I have a big problem, Rebbe. What's the problem? He says, I took your advice. I accepted all those complaints with love in order to get my atonement, and my wife has stopped torturing me. The Arizal says, what's the problem? He says, Rebbe, how am I going to get my atonement now? He says, listen to me carefully. You were supposed to get an atonement from God. You got it. You accepted it with love. Now it's over. Enjoy life. Words for us to live by. When that love tap comes, accept it with love. Let it be an atonement. And when it ends, and if you're going through difficulty now, may God let it end soon. And then when it does, enjoy life.